Hi everyone. I thought it would be a good idea to show you how you can explore, tour, and set up your grade center even with the minimum amount of assignments that you may have. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is setting up the grade book for your students to be able to access all your wonderful feedback and grades. So you want to go up to the plus sign here on the top, and this is where we add tools and we add different modules and blank pages. Now you've seen that before when you've created your content areas. We're going to go down to Tool Link, and we're going to click on the drop down menu, and we're going to locate my grades. That's what this tool is called. You can name it whatever you like. Of course, you want it to make sense to your students. So once you name it and you click on the checkbox for available to users, you're going to be able to submit. And now it's here on your menu, accessible to your students, and you can actually drag and drop it into place wherever you'd like. Now, as we're moving down to the control panel to get to the grade center, I want to just make you aware that you will not be able to access your grade center through the gradebook. It'll give you a message that your role does not have any grades. This is because we need to use the full grade center to actually post our grades. Now, before I get into the grade center, I want to share a little bit about what's on the outside. So this is a toggle where you can collapse and expand, and these two items are called smart views. Now they come in every shell. They're just a default. I'll show you how to turn them off, or you can actually um, allow more smart views to appear. But for example, if I had several assignments, I could click on this smart view and it would take me into the grade center where just the assignments are available. The same for tests. Now I do want to show you this powerful tool called needs grading. It's actually an area where every outstanding assignment is going to be listed here. I've been using it throughout the class. So if you have a discussion posting, I will see it. If you've created an assignment or actually participated in an assignment, I'll see that you have done that, and I'll be able to see it listed here in chronological order. The only watch out I have for you is the Turnitin assignments. They will list here, but in order for you to grade them, you need to go to the control panel, course tools, and look for Turnitin assignments. If you click on the Turnitin assignment here in needs grading, it's going to give you a garbly goop of code, and that's just the way that our Blackboard integrates Turnitin assignments. Again, please go to Course Tools and look for Turnitin assignments in this drop-down menu. But this is a powerful way for you to access and even just preview. Say you're not even ready to grade some of the assignments, but you get to see all of them listed and who's done what. So I really hope you take advantage of this tool. Okay, so now I'm going to take you into the full grade center. So you can actually just click on the arrows right to the right of the name, and here we have it. Now I just have my test student in here, and you should all have your test student. Test student is going to be your best friend. I just can't tell you enough about the test student. Now the full grade center has these four, I'd say, buttons to the left and then some to the right. The ones that we're going to be focusing on today for your assignment, we're going to be focusing on creating a new category, an extra credit column, a calculated column, and then reorganizing your columns. And then I'll show you about the smart views. So the first thing I'd like you to do is think about creating a category for an extra credit column. Now, some of you don't use extra credit, and that's fine, but I do want to tell you a little bit of the difference between automatic or automated column versus the manual column. So for example, some of you have been creating assignments and discussions and blogs and wikis and whatever you've been doing in your learning module over here in the content area. Remember, you're going over into a content area, and inside of your learning modules you're adding activities and assignments. Now once you put points in those option areas, it automatically is going to create a column here. You don't need to come back over here and do that. It's going to already create a column for you. So for example, I have week 1, and you can see what categories these are. This is a test. See, it's over here on the grade information bar. This is an assignment, and this is a thread. So you should have some assignments and some activities all ready for you to work with. Okay, so a category, usually there's 8 to 9 categories already created. You don't even have to worry about that. So you're putting in points, you're creating your assignments, the grade column shows up in the full grade center, and it already is categorized. But what about those manually created columns? So the easiest thing for us to do is to look to see how that's created, and you want to categorize everything, especially those manually created columns, because for example, you might want to weight those columns, or you might want to just take those columns and do a sub-column total. So again, it's very important, even if you're doing a manually created column, that you put a category. So we don't have a category, so we're going to go over here and we're going to click on the Manage button. Some of you don't need to click, you can just move your mouse, and we're going to go over here to Categories, and you're going to see the built-in categories that Blackboard has already provided. These are familiar to you. Okay, now I do already have an extra credit because I went ahead and did that. To create a category, I'm going to come up here to Create Category, click on that button, and then I would name it. You could put a description, and then you're going to submit. Okay, so now you could have different categories. Some instructors love participation. So participation isn't necessarily built into Blackboard. So you could create a participation category and then make a column, maybe participation column instead of extra credit, and then you could start to track participation. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that works. Now I'm going to come over here to the very left, and I'm going to click on Create Column. This is a manually created column. Again, it's not an activity that you created in the content area that is already there. So we're going to call this extra credit. Oops, if I could spell, that would help. And here I can abbreviate it. So the Grade Center isn't unmanageable with very long, lengthy names and you're scrolling back and forth. You could put a description. Primary display will be score for this one. And then I'm going to come over here and I am going to assign it a category. Again, very important. I'm going to assign some points. Maybe I have a total of 10 points for, oh, sorry, for the extra credit, it's going to have to be 0. Sorry about that. 0. And sometimes if that doesn't work, then we put in a 1, but we usually wait till the end to make sure that everything's working. Now I'll tell you about the points possible being 0. The reason we're going to do that for extra credit is because not everybody's going to do extra credit, and you don't want to penalize those that don't do extra credit. So it'll only count for those who do, and you have something that you have posted in the cell of that column. And yes, we do want to include it in the Grade Center calculations, especially if students are participating in extra credit. And then every new column that you create appears at the end of your navigation here at the end. Right there's my extra credit. See, it's my abbreviated. And you can look at some of the different information that has to do with just this column by clicking on the chevron, and this drop down, or in this case it's actually displaying upward, will come up, and you'll be able to edit information. Maybe you want to change the name. You'll be able to delete this column. Now, interestingly enough, you can only delete columns that you've created manually. For example, I'll just show you this really quick. There is no delete on my threaded discussion. You cannot delete threaded discussion columns in your Grade Center here. You would have to go over here to the content area, go into your discussion forum board, and delete the column there. And then watch out, this is a good warning for everyone, including myself. When you delete an assignment, a thread, a blog from the content area, it will allow you to do that, and the next screen that comes up, it will say, do you want to delete the grade column from the Grade Center? And you have to say yes, or you have an orphan column. And students are like, well, wait a minute, where is that where's that assignment? I see it in my gradebook, but I don't see that assignment. So very important. If you have any questions, please ask. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to create a calculated column, and we're going to make this column a letter grade column. And notice that some of the other options. Some of you may want to do a min-max, an average column, another weighted column. I'm going to select a total column because I really want to make sure that we have a letter grade. So this is going to be, I'm just going to call it letter grade for purposes of this video tour. And I can abbreviate it again if I like. And then I'm going to come down over here, and this is where you're going to want to pay attention to. The primary display is not going to be score, it's going to be letter now. And then I'm going to come down here, and you might want to go through each item very carefully. Now what you can do is make sure all grade columns are included for this letter grade, or you could select columns and look, categories. That way everything you know that you have created, whether it's been automatically creating a column or the ones that you manually created, have assigned categories. Very important. So then you're going to click on submit, and now we have a letter grade column. Unfortunately, the test student is getting an F right now, but a nice addition to your full grade center. Okay, last but not least, the organization. And I want you to notice that you have some extra columns here that really don't give you any information. For example, username, you may not need. You may not need the student ID. You may not need this availability column that just says everybody's available. You may want to hide them. And you also, every full grade center comes with a weighted total and a total. Now you want this total. If you delete this, make sure you assign some column that has this is the external grade column. For some reason Blackboard says every grade center needs one of these little green check marks. So if you delete this, make sure you're assigning this to somewhere else, and that you'll see set as external grade in some of the other columns. Now, this weighted total you may not want either. Maybe you don't weight your totals. But again, you can actually edit this to use for your purposes by going into the edit column information. Again, there's a lot to this full grade center, but for this particular assignment, I think this is going to be helpful, and then I will trust that you're going to come and explore some more items here. All right, now I'm going to go to this manage button because I'm going to show you how you can actually move columns around, hide columns, and freeze some of those columns and hide them that you may not need. For example, your full grade center, you can be scrolling and scrolling forever. So you might want to hide some of these. Availability, student ID, and username. You already have the last name and the first name. Now this is up to you, but once you want to hide those, you can come up here to the top and hide those selected columns. And then these are frozen columns, so you can bring some columns that are up here that will not move. They kind of stay stationary, and then you move the other columns back and forth. So these are important. It is important to see the last access for your students and when they've been in your class. Now here is all the columns that you've created or have been automatically created, and you can move these into place. This is what I've done because every column that you create or has been created automatically through the creation of your assignments and all your activities, they always list to the end. So you might want to come back here and just move these in place depending on your learning modules. I've had to do that myself each time I create a new assignment. And then again, you can also hide some of these columns. I do want to just make note that if you hide these columns here, you also have to hide them on the full grade center because the students will still be able to see them. It's a little bit tricky, but ask me if you have any questions. Then I'm going to click on submit. And there's less columns to see, and now I can scroll back and I can see just enough information about my student here and then all their grades. Now, before we finish, I want to just remind you about the Smart Views. You can come over here to Manage and click on Smart Views, and wherever you see the little green lit up stars, that means it's going to show up over here as a Smart View. Now, I like to take these off because I exclusively use the Grade Center, but some of you might want to turn on some of these Smart Views or turn them off. You can even create your own. So that's about it. Enjoy and thank you so much.